Alright, just let me get this out of the way. First and foremost, normally I'm not posting on here. Anybody who has been subscribed to my channel probably knows that, or if not, they just kind of pretend I'm not here anyways. Most of the time, I'm over on Twitch, twitch.tv/JohnBoring. I stream almost every day, so best way of watching my content if you like this, or if you want to get into more discussions about stuff. Though I do respond to comments. With that out of the way, let's get into this. So, one idea that I've been kind of brainstorming about, I'm pretty sure people have come up with this notion already in some way, shape, or form, about maybe along with the limitation on personal caps that a character can have. At the time of this recording, it's 30k, which is the limit. And after that, it's max caps. You pretty much lose out on the caps that you would have had, but you went over. Instead of increasing the limit on how much you can have per character, why not make a little repository for extra gold, extra caps, extra whatever else, so that even if a character goes over limit, they could still have caps in the bank, which people would actually consider using, being that a lot of people don't really give enough credence to caps these days because a lot of trading, higher end trading, happens with resources such as flux and other things. You can use your imagination. I'm not fucking dealing with your shit right now. But in essence, what I want there to be is like a little bank system. Here's how it kind of would work. If you ever went over your limit, it would be deposited into your account, which each character would probably have their own separate account. Or if Bethesda really wanted to get creative, just like a massive pool for all characters that is part of an account. Although that might be dangerous and a lot of people wouldn't like that, so both options are on the table. But we're just talking hypothetical here. At any rate, you could also deposit money into the account if you want to, just to kind of hold on to, which could give interest. I'll come back to that in just a moment. Earmark it, do whatever the fuck you want to. There needs to be at least 3 banks on the map. What I was mainly thinking of, one the Forest, one the Savage Divide, probably around the White Springs area or in the White Springs Market area. And then one over probably next to Berkeley Springs Station, just for sentimental people. We'll call these series of banks Go Banks. If anybody is getting some red flags or sound of broken drills, hold on to your horses, we're getting there. So anyway, you could also go up to these separate banks, depending on which one you went to, and they would have different interest rates. The Forest one would have the lowest, the one out in the mire would have the highest, and there would be incentives to actually bank out there in the mire, but also incentives not to bank at the mire, depending on which character you went with. Anybody who understands economics or virtual economics, which I didn't realize was a thing till starting to do this, and looking into it briefly, it made my head hurt. Mind you, I'm about philosophy and medicine, so none of this economic crap really makes sense to me, but anybody who does understand this, please enlighten me or enlighten us, or the comment section is the thing. Help me out. Help me help you. Help me help you. So, if you feel like you're about to go over budget for either your caps, which would be available immediately, or your gold bullion once you finish the Wastelanders quest line, you could just deposit in the bank, save it for a rainy day. It automatically goes in or something. There might be a system to work out for that. I mean, you get your caps automatically for completing quests and everything, so I don't see why they wouldn't be able to recognize, just put in an if statement. If player inventory for caps is full, send to bank instead. I mean, if statements are kind of a basic thing with any coding language for the most part, but I digress. There would also be other functionalities of these Go banks. For instance, like if you want to do high value trading, it's kind of a clusterfuck right now because most people would just go up, drop the item, or trade in there and just give the thing, just put the thing up for trade or put in a vending machine. Or player to player trading is not really optimal right now. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. So what we could do is also have a service through these banks to where you could go up to the teller, which I have an interesting idea of how to introduce this, but we'll get to that, and talk to them and say, I would like to request a trade with such and such person. And then you can pick from a list of people that are in the immediate area to actually do that trade. And you could put up the item that you want to sell to this person, and they can put up, like, say, a bunch of flux. And then each time that somebody puts something up, each player has to confirm, yes, that is correct. Warframe does this perfectly. Hands down. Despite the problems with Warframe, the trading system is actually a lot more robust than it is in Fallout. By 5 million miles at least. And any of my fellow Warframe players out there, you know this as well as I do. So, in doing this, you know, the bank could charge a little bit of a fee in the form of caps, depending on how much stuff is being traded or something. They could probably work it out from there. But honestly, if you're doing high value trading, you probably have a shit ton of caps anyways. It's just a fact of life. So, coming back to the interest thing. I know I'm jumping around a lot. It's just, I don't like to go off of a script. It just makes me sound awful, and this probably doesn't sound any better. But this is kind of more of an experimental, what's on my mind kind of thing. Anywho, with interest, it's just like, you know, if you bank with the one that's stationed somewhere in the forest, you'll have a lower interest rate, but have no risk of having your money procured by anybody. And in the mire would be a higher interest rate, but the chances of somebody actually coming to steal the money increases. We could have NPCs being like ones wanting to defend the bank and ones trying to steal from the bank. Preferably raiders trying to steal from the bank. You see where I'm going with this now? Get your clown masks on, boys. We're going payday style in this bitch. So, what would happen is, like, get a bunch of people who are aligned with the raiders or want to go in as the raiders to a specific bank. Mind you, probably best to leave the forest one off limits for this little game mode. But it'd be really interesting, and it would give incentive to actually PvP and shit. Here's how. So you start up a raid with a bunch of your friends and this NPC or group of NPCs to rob the bank. Fine, dandy. You go through like a little corridor and everything to go and steal the money, and then the bank teller sends out an SOS to like anybody who's a little more aligned with Foundation or the Responders or anybody else. And you can get in on that action and just go into PvP. If the bank defenders win, they'll get a reward from the bank itself, like, I don't know, 2,000, 3,000 caps, something like that. I don't know. But if the bank robbers win, they will get at least a cut of whatever's saved at that bank on that server. Probably like a small percentage from each account that's banked with them. Seems kind of fair. I mean, you're going to have to leave it top heavy for the bank robbers anyways, but I'm sure there's some way that you can actually balance it out on the defender side to actually make it worthwhile to defend rather than attack the bank. But that's neither here nor there. I'll leave it at everybody else's discretion. I'm not good about making game modes. I'm not good about making incentives for PvP because I don't personally PvP, but this would actually seem very fun. And we could have like drills, hopefully the ones that don't break constantly. We could have like assault. No, not assaultrons. Robobrains and shit. We could have new enemy types with like shields, and I'm really wanting to play Payday 2, aren't I? Yes, I am. But moving on. So when you first come out of the vault and everything, you could come over to Flatwoods and everything. There are plenty of boarded up buildings. We could turn one of those into like a go bank. And walking inside, you'll have a little introductory cutscene with an NPC behind the counter. Preferably somebody who is very soft-spoken, but is known to be a badass, like the guy who played Jerome in John Wick. Lance Reddick, yeah. Very smooth-sounding, but can be a colossal badass if he wants to be. Or somebody of that archetype. Preferably this guy, because he does a phenomenal job. I hate to typecast him, but he does a wonderful job. Hats off to him. So anyway, he's explaining to you how banking and everything works, and then like a fucking free radical or Blood Eagle just walks in, tries to rob the bank, and then Sharon the Sharon character stand-in would just like push up his glasses, explain to him that we don't take kindly to bank robberies, or some smooth, very smooth, badass line, and then blast him away. And then look over to apologize, clean up the body as best as he can, best as anybody can, or have his like, the guards clean it up because apparently guards didn't want to do anything about it, or bystander NPCs or something. Have them clean it up real quick. And then the guy go behind the counter and be like, hopefully you're more about business and respect than the last gentleman was. And go on banking from there. And then once Wastelanders actually completes for that character, they'll have the ability to actually bank away their spare gold bullion. Or whatever. Now, there'd be like different bank tellers at the different locations and everything, but this has just been a little bit of a experimental idea. I doubt Bethesda would actually implement this anytime soon, even with a Microsoft buyout. But, something to consider. I don't know, what do you guys think? This has probably been posed many, 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 many times before. And if you have, I apologize if it sounds like I'm stealing your idea. I'm not. But I think we all can agree that this would be a little bit of an eloquent solution while teaching people, like, economics and everything, because, well, this would be a very good thing to have, especially being that gold bullion's in the game and everything, and given that caps were kind of based off of the water standard anyways, we could have, like, a gold bullion standard. Barring the fact that we got rid of the gold standard very, very long time ago. Which, looking into that, is kind of depressing in of itself. But, at any rate, let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe, do that whole thing. But, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a nice day, and take it easy.